pulls me in the air, it shivers cold and thin.
Echoes of the Forgotten Bride. Episode 18, The Last Catch. The ocean is a graveyard of voices, fishermen who never came home, sailors who vanished in storms, people who walked into the water and didn't walk back. And sometimes the dead have things to say, things they couldn't say while living, truths they died holding, secrets that turned to silence. But silence can be broken if someone is willing to listen, if someone is willing to hear what shouldn't be heard. This is the 18th echo. Captain Rhys had been fishing Haven's End's waters for 30 years. He knew every rock, every current, every dangerous stretch where boats went down and didn't come back up. He fished alone, always had, after his crew quit 5 years ago, after they'd all insisted something was wrong with the Wayfarer, that the boat was cursed, that they heard things at night, voices, whispers, things that shouldn't be there. Rhys had called them superstitious, had replaced them, but the new crew quit too, and the next. Eventually he'd stopped trying to hire people, just fished alone. It was harder, more dangerous, but quieter. No one to complain about voices that were probably just wind, just water, just the ocean being the ocean. Except Rhys heard them too, the voices. He just didn't talk about it, didn't acknowledge them. If he ignored them, they couldn't be real. That was the logic, simple, effective, wrong. The voices were getting louder, more persistent, more specific. They called his name, told him to turn around, to go deeper, to listen, please listen. Rhys turned up his radio, drowned them out with weather reports and Coast Guard chatter, kept fishing, kept ignoring, kept surviving. Then the Wayfarer brought her up. Rhys was pulling in his nets. Dawn, calm water, routine haul, but the net was heavier than it should be. He winched it up, expecting a good catch, maybe a shark tangled in the lines. Instead, tangled in the net, was a woman. Rhys's heart stopped, a body. He'd pulled up a body. He grabbed his radio, prepared to call the Coast Guard, report the recovery, but then the woman moved. She turned her head, looked at him. Her eyes were open, clear, aware, not the eyes of a corpse. She was alive, somehow, impossibly, wrapped in his nets. At the bottom of the ocean, alive. Rhys cut her free, pulled her onto the deck. She was pale, waterlogged, her clothes were strange, old-fashioned, her hair was long, tangled with seaweed. She didn't gasp for air, didn't cough up water, just lay there, staring at him. "Who are you? What were you doing down there?" The woman's mouth moved, but no sound came. She was mute, or had been underwater too long, or was something else entirely. Something that shouldn't exist. Rhys wrapped her in blankets, checked for hypothermia. Her skin was cold, but not dangerously so. Her pulse was steady, slow, like she wasn't quite human, like she was something that had learned to mimic humanity but hadn't quite gotten it right. He should have taken her to shore immediately, should have called emergency services, but something stopped him. Maybe curiosity, maybe the way she looked at him, like she knew him, like she'd been waiting for him specifically. He brought her to the cabin, gave her hot coffee. She held the mug but didn't drink, just stared at it, at him, at everything, like she was remembering what these things were, what they meant. And then she started writing, not speaking, writing on the condensation on the cabin window, one word at a time. "Thank you." "You're welcome, but what were you doing out there? How long were you in the water?" She wrote again, always, "Been here, waiting." Waiting for what? For someone to see, to hear, to witness. Witness what? She pointed to the water, then wrote SECRETS, truths, the DROWNED, speak through me. Rhys should have been terrified, should have thrown her back, should have run, but instead he felt something else. Recognition. This was why the crew had quit, why people heard voices, because there was someone down there, something, a conduit, a vessel, speaking for those who couldn't speak. What do they want to say? The drowned. The woman's face crumpled. Pain, ancient pain, she wrote quickly. Urgently, truth about death, about murder, about betrayal, about love that ended in water. And you're their voice. She nodded, pointed to herself, then wrote her name or what she'd been called, what she'd become: witness, vessel, last catch. Over the next days, Rhys kept her on the boat, didn't take her to shore, didn't report her, just kept her there, fed her, though she barely ate, kept her warm, though she didn't seem to feel temperature, just existed beside her while she wrote. She wrote secrets constantly, obsessively, on paper, on glass, on the deck itself with her finger in the salt residue, secrets of the dead, things they died holding, things they needed someone to know. Mayor Ellis drowned his brother, fought over it. Inheritance held him under, claimed it was accident. Mrs. Clay slowly poisoned her husband, antifreeze in his coffee. Everyone thought it was heart failure. The Davidson boy didn't fall from the cliffs, was pushed by his best friend over a girl, over jealousy. Rhys read them all, horrified, fascinated. These were real people, real deaths, real truths that had been buried with bodies, covered with water, hidden in silence. Why are you telling me this? What am I supposed to do with it? The woman looked at him, her eyes were ancient. Sad, she wrote, they need witness, need someone to know, to acknowledge they died with truth. Truth deserves light. But these are accusations, crimes. If I tell people, if I expose this, it'll destroy families, ruin lives. Truth already destroyed, already ruined. Silence, just LETS killers live unpunished. LETS victims stay forgotten. Rhys struggled. These weren't his secrets, weren't his truths. He was just a fisherman, just someone who'd pulled a strange woman from the water. But she'd chosen him, or fate had, or the ocean had, and now he held knowledge that burned. Then the woman wrote something else, something that made Rhys's blood run cold. Your father didn't drown accidentally, was held down by his first mate, over money, over debt you never knew, he wanted you to know. Rhys's father had died when Rhys was 10, drowned during a routine fishing trip. His first mate, Uncle Garrett, had been devastated, had helped raise Rhys, had been family. You're lying, Garrett wouldn't. He loved my father, loved me. The woman's expression was pure compassion. She wrote, he did love you, still does, but loved money more. Your father forgives him, wants you to know, not for revenge, just for truth. So you stop mourning accident, start mourning murder, grieve properly. Rhys couldn't breathe if this was true, if his father was murdered. If Uncle Garrett, who'd taught him to sail, who'd been at every birthday, every graduation, who'd been more father than uncle, if he was a killer. How do I know you're telling the truth? How do I know you're not just making this up, using tragedy for what? What do you want? The woman wrote simply, want nothing, just conduit, just vessel. Your father speaks, I speak for him. Believe or don't, but truth exists whether you accept it. Rhys went to shore alone, left the woman on the boat, went to Uncle Garrett's house. The old man was in his workshop, building a ship model. He looked up, smiled. Rhys, good to see you, boy, been too long. I need to ask you something, about Dad, about the day he died. Garrett's smile faded. That was 30 years ago. Why dredge up old pain? Because I need to know the truth, not the story, the truth. It was an accident, you know that, freak wave. He went overboard, I couldn't reach him in time. You held him down, didn't you? Over money, over debt. Garrett dropped his model. It shattered on the floor. Who told you that? Does it matter? Is it true? Garrett's face collapsed, aged a decade in seconds. Yes, God help me. Yes, he owed me a lot from a bad investment. I needed the money, couldn't wait. And I panicked, held him under, told myself it would look like accident, that I'd be there for you, raise you right, make up for it. You murdered my father, and then raised me, pretended to grieve, let me love you while you were a killer. I did grieve, I did love him, I loved you, that's why I couldn't let you know, couldn't let you hate me. Rhys, I've lived with this for 30 years. Every day, every moment, I've paid in guilt, in shame. But Dad didn't get to pay, he's just dead. And you're alive, comfortable, loved. That's not payment, that's getting away with it. What do you want me to do? Confess. Go to prison. I'm 78. I'll die there. I want you to acknowledge it, to him, to his memory, to the water that holds him. I want you to stop pretending it was accident. Stop letting me mourn something that wasn't real. Garrett wept old man tears, broken tears. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, to you, to him, to everyone. I've wanted to confess for decades, but I was too afraid, too selfish. You're confessing now, to me. That's what he wanted. What the vessel said he wanted. Just truth, just witness. The vessel. Rhys explained, the woman, the net, the secrets, the voices of the drowned speaking through her. Garrett listened, face pale. When Rhys finished, Garrett stood, shaking. I need to see her, need to speak to your father. If he's really there, really speaking, I need to tell him face to face, or as close as I can get. Rhys brought Garrett to the boat, to the woman. She looked at the old man, recognition in her eyes. She picked up her paper, wrote, Garrett, you came, good. She wrote more, not to Rhys, to Garrett, directly, I forgive you. Understand fear, understand desperation, understand human weakness. But Rhys deserved truth. Need truth, needed to grieve honestly. Thank you for finally giving it. Garrett sobbed, reading the words, broken by them, healed by them. I'm so sorry, I'll confess. Publicly, take responsibility, whatever you need. No need, statute expired. Confession would only hurt Rhys, hurt family, hurt community. I wanted acknowledgement, wanted truth known, wanted witness. Have that now, rest now. The woman touched Garrett's hand, her cold, strange hand, and something passed between them. Release, absolution, the weight of secret lifting. Garrett's shoulders dropped, his face cleared. For the first time in 30 years, he looked at peace. Is he really gone, really at rest? The woman nodded, gave him what he needed, truth witnessed, acknowledged, remembered, can release now. Garrett left, changed, lighter. He confessed to Rhys privately, in detail, answered every question, then lived the rest of his short life in service, helping fishermen's families, setting up scholarships, trying in small ways to balance scales that could never fully balance. But Rhys was left with the woman, with the vessel, with hundreds more secrets she wanted to share, needed to share, deaths that weren't accidents, murders disguised as drownings, suicides that were actually murders, truths that had been buried for decades, for centuries. I can't do this, can't carry all these secrets, can't be the witness for everyone. The woman wrote, not everyone, just those who need it, who died holding truth, who need witness before release. How many? She wrote a number, then crossed it out, wrote a larger one, crossed that out too. Finally, many, too many. Rhys felt the weight, the burden. He'd wanted to be left alone, to fish in peace. But the ocean had other plans, had given him this woman who wasn't a woman, this vessel for the dead, this responsibility. Over the next weeks, the woman wrote. Rhys documented. They created a record, names, deaths, truths, some Rhys shared, with families who needed closure, with descendants who deserved to know. He did it carefully, privately, offering truth as gift, not weapon. Other secrets he kept, the ones that would only cause pain, the ones where everyone involved was dead, the ones where truth served no purpose but accuracy. Those he wrote down, sealed, put in a safe, for history, for record, for acknowledgement even if not for action. And the woman began to fade, as the secrets were told, as the dead were witnessed, as truth was given light. She became more translucent, more water than flesh, less present. You're leaving, aren't you? She wrote, and my purpose ending. The drowned are quiet, finally witnessed, acknowledged, released. I release too. Where will you go? She smiled, first time, a real smile, back to water, to silence, to rest. I was bride's voice once, before I became their voice. Now I can be my own, or no voice, just rest. Choice now, finally. Thank you for trusting me, for choosing me. Thank you for listening, for being brave, for witnessing when it was hard. Will I ever see you again? She wrote her final message, when your time comes. When you join water, I will be there, will witness your truth, will carry your secret, will give you rest, that is promise. Then she dissolved, became water, became ocean, poured through the deck planks back into the sea, gone, released, finally at peace after centuries of carrying other people's truths. Rhys stood alone on the Wayfarer, the boat that had been cursed. That was now quiet. The voices were gone, the whispers silenced, the dead finally at rest. He continued fishing, but differently, with reverence, with acknowledgement that every wave held stories, every depth held secrets, and some of those secrets needed witness, needed someone willing to listen, to document, to honor. He never pulled up another body, another vessel, another conduit, but sometimes on very quiet nights he'd hear a whisper, a thank you from depths, from darkness, from the dead who'd finally been heard. And he'd whisper back, "You're welcome, I remember, I witness, you mattered." That was enough for them, for him, for the ocean that held them all. The sea remembers every death, every secret, every truth that sank with bodies into darkness, but it needs us to remember too, to witness, to acknowledge, to give voice to silences that would otherwise echo forever. That's the burden, the responsibility, the gift, to listen when the dead speak, to honor what they need to say, to carry their truths until those truths can rest. Not for revenge, not for justice, just for witness, just for the simple acknowledgement that they lived, they died, they mattered, and their truths, however dark, deserve light. The ocean holds many voices, but it needs our ears, our hearts, our courage to hear what shouldn't be heard, and our compassion to understand that even terrible truths deserve acknowledgement. Because silence is its own violence, its own cruelty, and sometimes the kindest thing we can do. Oh, for the dead is simply to listen, to hear, to remember, and to let them finally rest. This has been Echoes of the Forgotten Bride, Episode 18, The Last Catch. Join us next time for Episode 19, Salt in the Locket. Until then, remember that the dead speak if we're willing to listen. And sometimes, bearing witness is the most important work we can do.
Shadows in the fog, they pull